Hello, this is the contest. Fantasy Footy Show. So nice. We recorded thrice. Just kidding. This is Kman's Team Reveal. I'm Jesse. I like redraft. I'm with Kman. He's a dual hat winner. We're your hosts. We like fantasy footy. You can follow Kman on Twitter at Kman_TC Fantasy. You can follow me on Twitter at Contest Fantasy. Kman, mate, how you doing? Is there any more to say? Because we just did this like an hour ago.
We recorded it, though. We recorded it.
Did.
You know what? I looked at it today, and wasn't it great to see the countdown where it's like 2 days? 2 days! We're going to get this sorted, my man. We've got to get this sorted.
I'm the least sure I've ever been before a fantasy football season.
Same.
And I just hope that it's not a complete teardown a day from now. But here we are. We find ourselves.
Just wait. Just wait till some rookies aren't named.
Oh, God. You can't do this to me. You can't. Emotional damage.
I reckon there's going to be something.
Almost as much emotional damage as a $13 beer at the Gabba on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And the pizza. How much is the pizza?
Oh, it's $9 a slice. $9 a slice. That's almost double what you can get it for with a can of, as the Americans will say, pop from the store directly. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're doing our second team reveal. If you haven't listened to it already, head on over to the Contest Fantasy Footy Show at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. We've got Team Channel. That's my team. We did that team reveal yesterday or earlier. I don't know what our release schedule is with this now that we're re-recording it the afternoon. We usually release it morning of. That's a word salad. But anyway, there'll be another episode. It'll be available. Go check it out. This one is Kman's team reveal. The way we're doing it is we're going to screen share if you're on YouTube. If not, you'll just have to listen to our voices. We're going to screen share on YouTube our locks. We've got our locks locked in. They're going to come up on the AFL Fantasy site. And then we're just going to talk through what are those one or two positions at each line that we're still questioning, we're still wondering about, and there might be a little bit of flexibility around. Before we get stuck into it, if you dig the content, give us a follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube. 5-star rating really helps us grow. You can like and share over on YouTube as well. Without further ado, should we get stuck into it? Should we do this?
Yeah, mate. Let's show it.
Beautiful.
I feel like I've just opened the towel. I've just come out of the shower and I've opened the towel.
You do you, buddy. I revealed the world's most vanilla team yesterday, so I'm looking forward to you spicing things up a little bit for the people. Kman, go for it.
Oh, I don't think there's going to be much spice. I've got D1 is Connor Rozee, no bye. We saw what he did at halfback last year, and I think he's slightly unders. We're unsure on this new game style of Port and whether it is sustainable, but I did like what I saw in the preseason. High ownership, and I think he's a pretty easy pick at D1. At D2, I've got Colby announced that he will play. I've dabbled at another top-tier defender at D2, but just through balance across my other lines, I think there's some value in that defensive line itself. Houston's come out of nowhere. The Rocket is sitting at D3 with a bit of role change, hopefully a bit of role clarity. Price cycle is kick-started, so he's sitting at my D3. D4 is the one that is rotating around at the moment. So for weeks, I've been screaming for a D3. I think I've got one now. So at a D4, I've got Windsor, which I don't like. I don't like the question marks. I don't like the inconsistent nature that he fulfilled that role in Pracky Matches Community Series, but he is sitting there currently. Blackiston at D5 and a Jacques Villeneuve at D6 with Lindsay and Sarong on the bench. Very vanilla.
So if Windsor, this is essentially, we have the same backline. I think I had Fonte in there over Windsor, but I said Windsor could very easily take that spot. You said you're a bit nervy about Caleb Windsor, and there's definitely it's a bit up in the air because we didn't get that free look at Caleb Windsor like we got for some of these other players. yeah, as you said, maybe there's some volatility potential in his score. Is he everything we hope he will be? Who are the other names that you're kind of considering in his place? Like, who would be next up on the list for you?
Yeah, it's certainly something I'm not going to panic with. I don't think I'm going to get severely burnt if I have a Windsor and it doesn't work out. Coleman's my backup. I actually liked the way he was managed in the game. There's potentially two personnel that are going to sit out the next couple of matches, perhaps, depending on how the appeals go. So I actually think there's going to be more ball back there. He got burnt a bit in the first quarter. So if he was hit, I actually thought it was an 80 to 85 game. So I was quite happy with his role and what I think he can add at D4. The only concern is obviously the round 2 bye, with some of these bye plays in round 2 and round 3 starting to pile up, but I have confidence in the bench in that defensive line.
Is that pretty much the only thing that puts Windsor potentially a little bit over Coleman, is the round 2 bye for Coleman?
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Gotcha. All right. Let's move on to the midfield.
Midfield, very vanilla. I do have a version 2 that I'll talk about. So Goulden Butters at M2, Walsh at M3, Steele at M4, Darcy Parish at M5. Tanner Bruin locked himself away after a cracking community series. And then also into round 0. They do like the ball in his hands. I like what he does with the ball, and I liked what he added to Geelong's defensive transition. I have Blamiers. If he's starting, I would like him on my starting side. And then Jagger Smith, who, although, you could see the challenges of playing a 4-quarter game, he did rack up enough possessions to be a value pick in that midfield. And I've got Carroll, who's worked himself into my bench, and he could rotate with Blamiers depending on team release. And I've got Krill sitting on my bench as well.
So, question for you.
Yeah.
I was listening to the traders this afternoon, and can you guess which one is off the Parish train?
Can't be Warney.
It's not Warney.
I'd say no. Calvin. Calvinator's off the Parish train.
It's not Calvinator. It's Roy. And they gave him a bit of grief for being a bit Roy actionary as it goes. Roy's concern, I think, at the risk of misquoting him, Roy's concern, I think, was just that he didn't do anything particularly special in the preseason with the ball. And maybe the concern is that, well, he's priced at 72. Does he have capacity? Like, will he actually go 20 to 25 points over that? Or did we see enough in the preseason to ensure that he holds this spot in all of our teams? Because I would guess that outside of Roy, he's probably in most people's teams anyway. I mean, his ownership is less than I would thought it would be. It's 37%. Has he absolutely done enough for you to kind of lock in that spot in your team?
Not when you have a Windhager bashing the door down. There are a few players around there that I think could present some competition for him. It was a little disappointing. We saw Merritt come back, Caudle's coming back, so there's competition for spots in that midfield. Durham, Archie Roberts had more time in the midfield than I thought he was going to, so I can understand Roy's concern. And especially, as I said, you've got a Windhager who's killing it at half-back with relatively no competition except for Sinclair, but they interchange really, really well. So, yeah, I can understand that. Just at the moment, and knowing Parish is a big game player, so I'm sure by round 1 he's going to be raring to go, especially after some injuries of late. But we use these first couple of rounds as fix-up trades, and it's good to know that there are some contingencies and backup plans if we need to.
Just it's interesting that you say Marcus Windhager, because, man, what a cracking game he had. Yeah. He's got a break even of 26, only 26. His ownership he's a true pod. His ownership's sitting at 7.5%. I'd anticipate that goes up to around 9% by the time the season starts. But he's not going to get a tag. No one's going to Marcus Windhager to shut him down. Nass has moved into the midfield and sometimes a bit forward, maybe. He's actually a really fun option. Obviously, he's got he's got an early buy where someone like a Darcy Parish doesn't. But I like your thinking of there are actually these guys around and about that price point that we can leap to as fix-up trade options if someone like a Parish doesn't quite work out. I think that's a really good point.
Even if what if Lindsay comes out with a 90-odd, with Stephen May out, more kick-in responsibility. So, yeah, if there's some uncertainties about Parish, I think some of those players could be good fill-ins, and then you've got the money to use elsewhere if you need to fix some other areas up.
You said you had a second version of this midfield. Talk me through that.
Yeah, I'm going to butt your rebuttal. So Goulden, I didn't like first quarter he spent forward. If he'd spent it wing, back pocket, I'd go, yeah, okay, this is Goulden. It was him starting with that forward element, and if you look at the splits, there's quite a bit of forward time there. Sure. There was a transition due to fix and get clearance back on their terms. Carlton, it was basically on their terms in the first quarter. So with the round 2 bye and some tough matchups to come, I can see I could use the money elsewhere, and that money could be used to make up for the points differential. And with the value in that midfield, I think I'd be able to upgrade to a Goulden heading into mid-season buys. So my fallback is a Goulden I take out. I have Butters at M1, Steele at M2, Walsh at M3, and an LDU at M4, where I see 5 to 10 points value. I can use the cash.
How did I know that was coming?
I mean, if Newman comes back and kills it, I can use that money on top of a Windsor. I think there's some flexibility, and I don't think I'm losing that much of a gap in terms of value, in terms of points, and thereabouts in the first 5 rounds.
Just for any listeners at home who may not have listened to the channel team reveal, if you're wondering about that, if you're wondering about the rebuttal that Kman just butted, go back, listen to that episode. We had a big long conversation about Errol Goulden and what the concerns were, what the potential pros and cons were. So have a listen to that and this one in combination for a full detailed conversation. I'm really interested in this LDU because we talked about when we went to the footy on Saturday night, I asked you in earnest, just straight up, I was like, look, I just don't know if I see it. Tell me what's different for LDU this year. That means we're finally going to get that breakout and get that 10 to 12 points of upside. And you had a pretty solid, argument. I was like, hey, and now he's kind of a player that is in my saved list as a result of that. So give it to me again. What's this argument for LDU that's different this year?
So I felt with LDU for the past 3 to 4 seasons, he's really had to carry the North Melbourne midfield structure in terms of being an in and under player as well as a distributor. And if you're playing that midfield, it was pretty clear that he was targeted with attention, whether it was a tag or whether it was heavy attention. And I felt that capped his freedom to pick up +6s, to add to his score build and see the potential we see in an LDU. I mean, we forever go, what an amazing player, but he's just not fantasy relevant. He's not fantasy scoring. And I think the addition of Foss, who I think is a very hard player, very contested player. And for what I've seen in the preseason, community series, he's the first one on the ball if there's opportunity. And it's a distribute to an LDU, a Sheasel, the rotation of Parker, the rotation of Simpkin. So I think that adds an element where LDU doesn't have the same workload. It does free him up in terms of stoppage. And I think Sheasel is the one who's going to get as much attention as LDU does, especially now that he's more permanently in the midfield / half forward. Whereas previously Sheasel was that half back and midfield split. So through that, I think there's more avenue that frees up LDU for 10 to 15 points So I project sort of around about that 94 to 98 with some spike games as well. And if that's the case, I just think this could be the year. At 26, such a good player. I just think he's got the support now that he hasn't had in previous years.
Who could have seen coming last year, midway, three-quarters of the way through last year, who could have seen coming that the second duddest rookie pick of the year coming into this year in Finn O'Sullivan could be the thing that makes or breaks LDU's fantasy value? I find that wild.
I just think it adds that different element to the structure. And as I said,
he's had a great preseason. Yeah.
He's had a cracking preseason. I think he's looked really, really good. I didn't realize how tough he was, but that's been really impressive.
I think it was noted on his scouting report coming out that he had a few shaky things, like maybe his disposal. I'm reaching into the depths of my memory from 16 months ago here, but maybe some disposal efficiency stuff or some decision making. But I think it was noted that he was a hard footballer who was pretty keen to get it. He looked pretty ready made. So It makes sense. All right. Ruck space.
Ruck space, baby. Okay. So
someone's excited.
One person who I thought was Ruckman of the round was Darcy Cameron. And a few reasons. The Mason Cox leaving has really ensured that Darcy Cameron is solo ruck. And that was evident, absolutely evident on the weekend, because he took marks in attacking 50, intercept in defensive 50. He was used through transition. He was used, obviously, at stoppage. His ability to get around ground for 4 quarters, I thought, was outstanding. And I don't think there's any coincidence that he scored 112. And it was a game where there was significantly less stoppages than the other games on the weekend. I like his run. I mean, he cops a McAndrew, I think, next round. So I can see this being a 105 to 110 pretty consistently, again with some spike games here and there. So I actually think Darcy Cameron is going to go to another level. I think the new ruck rules suit him, and I think there's considerable value. And let's face it, when these new ruck rules were dissected, especially through Vans, there was plenty of intel to suggest that this would advantage a Darcy Cameron, and he's kind of flown under the radar for a couple of weeks, or just put to the side while we're looking at McAndrew, the mob boss, and then going back to our top tiers. So I was just really impressed with what I saw, and he's currently sitting cemented in my ruck line.
You might say he's gone from a Darcy Cam gone to a Darcy come on.
Or a Darcy can run.
Where can't he run to?
I think, what did we look at the other day? Does it go McAndrew and then Briggs? Was it Briggs in round?
I can open it up right now.
After a bye?
Briggsy. Yeah. So
he's going to run
Briggsy.
He's going to run him around. And
can we talk about Briggsy for a second? Just 1 minute or less kind of thing. So you were hot on Briggsy all pre-season. And by hot, I mean, well, actually, correct me if I'm wrong. You maybe weren't super confident in the pick, but you wanted it to be the pick, right? What was it in the end that made you go, no, okay, I can't do this?
I'll start with the positives first. So no Madden. I thought, oh, here we go. And I think I messaged you at the end of the first quarter. He had 5 clearances. 5 clearances. I thought, beauties, lost weight. And heading into half time, I just thought, this is exactly what we're after, especially heading into English, where he was projected as scoring a late 90. And then he just seemed to fall off a cliff. He was a bit late to stoppage. He had more time off ground. And I just thought, maybe he doesn't have the capacity now to be a solo ruck for 4 quarters. We know what Meekie's like. He's highly contested. It would have been a tough game around 0, but it just gave you the ick that he couldn't put together 4 quarters. In saying that, I think he will perform well against English, and we might see a true indication, but we know what English and it's almost going to be they shake hands at the start, go their separate ways, because English turns into that extra transition player, midfielder who has a bit of freedom. But it wasn't the way I wanted him to finish that game.
R1. Who's your R1?
R1, I have Tim English at the moment, and that is going to rotate. I'm in a 50-50 between English and Grundy. I've had Grundy all week, and today I just changed it to English. Recency bias. I'm trying to get rid of the emotion and resort back to a Grundy. But if I do go back to Grundy, again, I don't think I'm probably missing an early captain option. I know that's crazy thinking about Grundy's end to the season, but for Grundy to finish with 75 points in that second half and just show, okay, it's just working into the game. And I don't think you can go wrong with either of them, to be fair.
Yeah. I agree.
And it might be just the money, if the extra money I can use with a cheaper ruckman.
Forward line.
Forward line, it's as vanilla as the middle section of a Neapolitan ice cream. It's...
I forgot about Neapolitan ice cream. That is the worst. You've just made me cough myself to death. Neapolitan ice cream has got to be the worst ice cream of all time. Don't you think? Hands down.
What was left over for you? There was always one left over, and your parents would go, "Why aren't you eating that one?"
Yeah,
we're never getting a Neapolitan again.
What was your go-to? What was your go-to ice cream growing up? Flavor.
Go-to ice cream was always actually vanilla ice cream with sprinkles.
Vanilla ice cream with like hundreds and thousands of sprinkles?
Yeah. As a kid, loved it.
Vanilla, but you always left the vanilla Neapolitan.
Well, when you had chocolate and whatever, pink and strawberry,
Have you tried chocolate with sprinkles?
No.
It's pretty
I'm sure I did, but
Yeah. I could not go past a cookies and cream. I know that's like cliche, but do you remember connoisseur cookies and cream?
Yeah.
Is the fancy stuff. It was
fancy.
Good. It had so much cookie in it.
Yeah.
It was banging. Yeah. What about last question, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut
you
off.
I was going to say, whoever invented that ice cream, hopefully they're millionaires. Nailed it.
I'm sure they've got to be gazillionaires. Yeah. Oh. Well, what about as an adult? My go-to is now. I feel like you've officially entered manhood when your go-to ice cream becomes mint choc chip, and that has happened for this guy here. Yeah, I'm a mint choc chip man.
Old age.
Are you there yet?
No, I'm not there yet. I've turned into pink donut guy.
Pink donut, like strawberry flavored donut.
Yeah, I love it.
That's beautiful. DM or tweet at us your favorite ice cream. Best and worst. I'm really trying to get the engagement going on here. Best and worst ice cream flavors and best or donut flavors. I want to hear about all the terrible or fantastic donuts, best and worst, at Contest Fantasy, at Kman_TC Fantasy. DM, tweet at us, or if you live in the 90s, the Contest Fantasy Footy at gmail.com. All right, Kman's forward line. I'm not going to say it again, but Sheasel, F1. You know what? After what we talked about last night when we recorded the first time, I trialed today Sheasel out and Myers in. I did trial that today. I forgot to bring up Myers in the channel episode because we talked about it in the first recording that we didn't record.
The first recording.
Can we have that conversation now? Can we bring it up now?
Absolutely. Bring it up.
Fantastic.
I tinkered.
You tinkered. You're a tinkerer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that Christopher Pine thing where he's like, I'm a fixer. I fix things.
Fix things.
I'm a tinkerer. I tinker with things.
Go. I'm a fixer.
How did you fix it?
I fixed it by funding it in another way, which you'll find out in the budget.
Why can't...
Yeah, I was just thinking, so Brian Myers, he went, 121 in opening round. We've all sort of not been on the Myers train preseason because I guess the logic has been he costs just under $1 million. He's probably fully priced. He showed us he's not fully priced. And I was wondering, if you threw track in the midfield, could you have a Myers in your forward line? And you're actually making a really interesting point, ditching the Shees in favor of someone with maybe a bit more value in Myers?
Yeah,
Was the early buy taken off the table?
Well, something Holmesy mentioned. He's so expensive. So
Yeah, he is.
for him to hit the heights straight away, we don't know how North's going to perform, and they were poor in the preseason. I'm starting to think, gee, is he going to hit 110, 115s? Or you got a Myers who just smashed out a 122. Again, gives me money elsewhere. Especially if I maybe went with an English and Grundy setup. But it was just something I tinkered with. He's not there anyway, and I didn't like the buy. That was just another buy player. Yep. Where Sheasel is pretty comfortable. Track at F2, Flanders F3, the best of the not sure crew, Rochelle, Buderick, what a cracking game, a lock, and Devrob is sitting at F6. Now it's the bench that could change.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to a Grundy, I have scope. So at the moment, I've got Selwood, Lombard, and Ty Gallop. So I've banked the cash with Gallop and Selwood. Dobberston, we don't know what we're going to get. We're already sitting there with negative break-evens for a couple of rounds. If there's job security and they're named, why not just bank it rather than risk it?
Yep.
As sitting on my bench. My alternative is, which I'm still tinkering with, is if I go Grundy in the ruck space, I would shift a Gallop to a Todd Marshall.
Okay.
On my bench, where
on
I
your
still
bench.
think there's value there with a really low break even, a change of role. And it's just whether he can maximize the role from week to week. What's he priced at, Todd Marshall?
38.
38. Come on. Even if he cracks 60s and 70s, I mean, that's not ideal, but
I mean, his projected is 57, so his projected is automatically 20 points.
Yeah, I'm not sure that projection accounts for the role change.
Yeah, all I'm saying is if that was all he scored, you're still getting 20 points of upside.
Yeah. And
factor in the role change. Mm-hmm.
If he's sitting there to make cash, if he's there for cover in best 18 scenarios, well, he probably shouldn't be with the amount of balance I've got across lines. He's just sitting there as a moneymaker. And if it works, then I might be able to use him as an F6. I might be able to use him for further cover. But he's definitely something I'm interested in.
So question, North, Dons, Eagles, Richmond, Saints is his initial run. I know generally speaking, we know the run of Port. We look at a Rosie, we look at a Butters, and we froth for that run. For what you're looking out of a Marshall, do we want it to be those kinds of teams? Do we want there to be a slightly more challenging matchups to ensure there's more ball down his end of the field? How do you feel about that very relaxed kind of opening fixture?
I don't know how I put this without upsetting Port audiences. I think Port too.
Here we go.
I think
cancelled in season 2.
I think Port traditionally have done very, very well against the lesser teams, where they do. How do you put it? What's the word? They wax. They wax. So, yeah, probably defensive 50. You could have that concern, but traditionally Port score really well when they do play the lesser teams.
Do you know what's fun about Todd Marshall? He not in terms of actual player or role or whatever, but in terms of type of fantasy rookie, he reminds me a lot of a Kai Lohman last year, where Lohman was that one of like, he was expensive enough where you were either getting him in or you weren't. And if you got him in, you were pretty happy because he started to do really well. He put a ton of cash on it and he very quickly got out of reach. Todd Marshall, he's only 7.5% owned. And it could be one of those things where it's like, if he goes big enough for a couple of weeks, by the time everyone else, 8.2% owned, I think that's literally gone up in the last 5 minutes. If he puts on a bit of cash in the first week or two, like probably no one else is getting their hands on him because he's too expensive already. Because at 394K. Like, he's already expensive. If you don't start him, you're probably missing out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
All right. Well, that right there, everybody, is the Contest Fantasy Footy Show team reveal for 2026. I can't wait for these teams to completely change over the next 48 hours.
Yes. Well, by the time you hear this,
it'll be all different. Oh, man. We done? I think we're done.
Yeah.
I think we're done. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was cool.
I don't know what the next episode is going to be. We'll let you know when we know. You can rest assured we will be back and we will be with you each and every week, a couple times a week for the entirety of the season. Remember, let us know favorite and least favorite ice cream flavors.